Hello everybody and welcome to another pre-modern video. We're going to be playing in the Magical Knight Society League this time around, and it's time for a little update on what I've been doing in the blue-white Dreadnought, ArgenNought world. So first order of business, we have original frame Dreadnoughts as one should. So that's a nice little upgrade that happened right there. And then we have some interesting changes that I've done to the list lately that I'm trying out. So obviously our shell remains the same. We got our Dreadnoughts, we got our combo, Vision, Charm, and Stifle. We also have our Gushes, Foils, Counter Spells, a couple of Daces. So those things remain the same. We do have only 2 Daces down from 3, which I was playing before. The reason for that is that I've been just kind of overall very unimpressed, but this may be one of those, you know, that people love to say play preference, or like however you want to call it, but I do tend to play this game in a much more to play this deck in a much more play a long game sort of approach. So that means that Daze ends up being dead more often than I would like to, because I'm not just, hoping to find Dreadnought, Vision Charm, Daze and just jam on turn 2. Even if I see that, if I'm playing against like a white deck, for example, I may not even do that because I don't think it's good enough, because they could just have Swords of Plowshares and then we lose. So because of that, I have been kind of unimpressed by Daze whenever you're trying to play a little bit of a longer game. So that's why I have gone down to 2 copies, and because of that reason, what I have been playing instead is we have 1 singleton Swords of Plowshares, 1 singleton Annul, and 1 singleton Savos Web. So all of these are due to the changes that we have been seeing in the metagame as of late. So obviously the red-green Ponza deck has been, being pretty good. I take part of the blame for that. And with it being popular, I think that having access to Savos Web is very, very powerful, and basically every single deck that can support Savos Web should be playing between 2 and 3 copies. This card is absolutely spectacular. It also kind of randomly hosts a couple of very bad matchups for us, which are The Rock and Standstill. So that worked out. So Savos Web is a fantastic card to have access to. I was even thinking about making room for the 3rd copy, but the fact that it actually cantrips makes it a pretty good inclusion in the main deck. I know that Mike Flores was playing just Savos Web over Impulses. I'm not as comfortable doing that because I still really value the sideboard juke game plan of Armageddon, and like having access to Armageddon and Curse Totem, like such powerful cyber cards, makes Impulse that much better. So because of that, I think that I'm only brave enough to play a single copy of Savos Web in the main deck. But I could definitely see adding more copies, and I've been trying to. We also have 19 lands, so this is 1 more land than I usually play, and this is, once again, because I want to play a little bit for a longer game, so I want to be using my cantrips to find spells, and I want to be hitting my land drops a little bit more naturally. And then Annul and Swords to Plowshares are sort of the flex slots that we choose to play here. The reason is because, well, Annul is just as efficient as it gets in terms of interacting with artifacts or enchantments, which, once again, they're very popular in the metagame right now, and Swords to Plowshares is the best removal spell in the format, so that's why we're doing those. Then we have, of course, your meddling mages, your counter spells, and all the other good stuff that has characterized the Dreadnought deck since the beginning, really. In the sideboard, we have access to, as I said, an extra copy of Savos Web. We also have Curse Totem. Curse Totem stock has actually gone up since the last time that I played this deck. The reason being, even though Elves is kind of at an all-time low, what we have seen in its place is decks like the Tradewind survival deck, which is the de facto now creature survival deck that plays for value that doesn't get hosted by Engineer Plague and Pyroclasm, so that's why that deck has been popping up lately, and this card is obviously fantastic there. And the other one is the Devourer deck. So the Devourer deck is actually very strong against the Ponza deck because it can play multiple main deck Savos Web, and not only that, but also it plays a combo that's very hard for the Ponza deck to interact with. So Because of that, those decks have risen to popularity, and Curse Totem just happens to host both of them very effectively. So that's very, very cool. Then we have your Blue Elemental Blast / Hydroblast, the singleton copy of Flash of Insight, a fantastic card to bring in whenever you want to play a longer game and whenever you're bringing in your Armageddon. And speaking of Armageddon, kind of better than ever. if it wasn't already fantastic, it's now even better potentially. So fantastic cyber card. And then we have your, the finishing the playset of Swords to Plowshares, Last Breath as our of choice answer to Meddling Mage, and a couple of copies of Disenchant to deal with pesky artifacts and enchantments. So this is a list that we're going to be playing in this Magic Online Society League. Hopefully we do a little bit better than I've been doing lately. I've been trying a little bit too many cute and new things, which have maybe not been working out that much. So this time around, we're going to be try-harding a little bit more. So we'll see how things go. Yeah, we're going to be joining and playing some 6 matches of Pre-Modern for you. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you for round number 1. Okay, here we go. Let's keep this hand, because it's spectacular. We can probably go turn 1, play the Flooded Strand and Portent. Point on a move to 5, and turn 1, Basic Forest. Let's go for Portent, and we're going to be looking for some form of protection. I don't think these are good enough, unfortunately. Like, I think I already have the mana that I need, so I could take one more land, and I don't think that I'm going to keep these Swords to Plowshares without knowing what my opponent's up to over there. Another counterspell is interesting. What is this? Blue-Green Madness. Okay, so we're gonna pass this turn. Probably Impulse on opponent's end step. I could have comboed there and just hope my opponent doesn't have a Daze. But if they do have a Daze, I lose a game that I'm otherwise very ahead in. I could take these Daze. They don't have counterspell mana. They could have Mana Leak. So I guess I could just take a second Stifle instead. Would love to have access to... Yeah, I'm going to go for Stifle. Would love to have access to something like Vision Charm there. But Stifle is not bad because it also saves me from... Gilded Drake or something like that. So let's go with Dreadnought. And we're going to Stifle. Stifle the trigger. I guess my opponent could also be playing something like Tradewind Survival. Okay, so it is Madness. You got a Rootwalla. So if they do have Drake into Daze, I would be in trouble. But we beat Waterfront Bouncer or anything like that. Opponent got Anger. Interesting. Getting Anger there is super interesting because it really limits what they can do with this Survival, right? Because now they need to use this fetch land to go get a mountain. Like, I don't think they're racing my Dreadnought. Oh, my opponent may be setting up the Tradewind Rider. I think that's what's going on. If they had gotten a Rootwalla there, they could have had, like, it's basically free thanks to the Cradle, because they can use the green mana to put it into play and then have 1 extra mana. So they pitch the Anger. Also, notably, there's no squeeze, so my opponent doesn't really have access to card advantage. So they're not getting ahead with this Survival. They're getting ahead on board, but they're not getting ahead on cards. There's the Squee, pitch Squee, and there's the Drake. So now we get to Stifle the Drake trigger. They do get a 3/3 Hasty Flyer, so that's cool. No attacks. Don't think I agree with that part. So now we have double counterspell, and we also have Stifle, so I think we got it locked up now. Seems really hard for my opponent to be able to race me back from here. Main deck Drake is very interesting though. There goes the Squee. Opponent can play Tradewind Rider here, and then we just counterspell. Playing around Daze, counterspell, and call it a day. Perfect. So up a game, we definitely want Curse Totem. Don't want Sabo's Web. I think we want... If we had Phyrexian Furnace, I would definitely want that, but I don't even know if we want Disenchant. Also not sure if we want Swords to Plowshares either. Hydroblast doesn't do anything. Armageddon is actually kind of interesting. I don't know if I care about doing this on the draw, but on the play, it's definitely a card that seems very interesting to me. I guess I do want some number of Swords to Plowshares, maybe over a Counterspell, and probably one Disenchant as well, as a way to answer a resolved Survival. Is Disenchant better than a Null? I'm going to say no. I do want foils on the draw. Meddling Mage also pretty good. Let's cut it. Counterspell and opt. on the foil. I guess a Daze. We could cut both Dazes on the draw, actually. Let's do that. Daze is going to be a lot more exciting on the play when my opponent doesn't have access to a million answers. Okay, this hand looked great. Meddling Mage, likely to do a healthy amount of work here. Finhorns on 1, pass the turn back. So now this gives us the option to play out the Darker Wastes on turn 2. I think I'm naming Survival with Meddling Mage. Alternatively, I could name Naturalize. Here we do nothing. We do the Plains. Kind of awkward, but it's fine. So let's play Meddling Mage. Notably, my opponent did not have Survival of the Fittest right there. So I think I want to name Naturalize, because if they had Survival, they would have played it on that previous turn. Opponent could have Tradewind right. Oh, never mind. I guess I was wrong. Also, they tapped wrong here. Stifle. So I think we're gonna go a little bit aggro here. Not scared of a Root Walla, so I'm just going to swing. And then I'm gonna go for it here with only a single layer of protection, but now my opponent having Survival makes things so much trickier for me. Oh, he's got a Null. Yeah, that's pretty bad for me. That's a lot bad for me. Yeah, I know a lot better than Naturalize in this in this context that we see right now. A lot better than Naturalize. They also already have the Squee. Yeah, we're in a lot of trouble now. So I have to find the Dreadnought in the next turn or two. Like, I don't really have that much time. Wall of Blossoms. I guess I have another... no? Okay, untap. Dreadnought? No. Okay, so I'm playing this, so if I draw a fall, I have something to use it on. I'm going to Meddling Mage, naming Basking Root Walla here, if my opponent gives me the option. Okay, so they're doing Root Walla things in response. I could Stifle. Yeah, I think I can't afford to do that, because I need to save this Stifle for like Gilded Drakes and stuff. I think I need to draw Gush. I don't think I can realistically win this game unless I find Gush. We are going to name Tradewind Rider with this Meddling Mage. And now we're going to send the turn back again. Obviously can't attack into an 0-4 yeah and a potential 3-3. These Root Wallas are going to kind of destroy me. Man, that was a very timely annul. Anger without any mountains in play, so I guess they're gonna go get the guy here. Oh, Genesis. Opponent's going off. I feel like at this point, maybe even a Dreadnought isn't enough anymore. I still think it's better for me to name Naturalize than Annul, but obviously in that specific context, one was better than the other one, but like I doubt my opponent has 4 Annuls, and I would be fairly certain that they have 4 Naturalizes. We can Stifle the Granger trigger. Kind of an interesting prospect. Kind of delays the unavoidable a little bit, like it's not really helping me push forward. I am far behind enough that I think I need to just stop my opponent from killing me, because if they put a mountain into play, I think I may literally just die right now with a Deranged Hermit. I guess not exactly right now, but like next turn. Yeah, even if I find the Dreadnought, I can't win anymore, so I'm just gonna pack it in. Like, my opponent is just going to just pull way too far ahead. Yeah, I guess I should have named Survival with this Meddling Mage, huh? We learned that. So let's bring in the Dazes. I want at least one Armageddon. And I don't think I care about Swords to Plowshares as much. I think I'm gonna go with this. It's maybe wrong, but since I'm on the play. Yeah, I like this hand. Let's keep this. And I guess I'm going to lead on Island, even though I have a foil in hand, because I'm going to be portenting. So lots of value from this Flooded Strand, because I can keep only the top 2 cards. Also, I may want to fetch for White Swords, right? When it moves to 5. Double Gush? Yeah, I think I'll keep that. So this one on top, then these other 2. No shuffle. Send the turn back. Do some gushing. They play a bird, so I think I'm just going to tap out for Curse Totem. Get a second island, play Totem, ship the turn back. The question is whether do I counter or naturalize. Wall of Blossoms is going to resolve. Draw an island. Okay, Portent, target myself. Yeah, we're gonna shuffle those away. And then play a land and send the turn back. Next turn we're probably gonna be gushing main phase. Oh, there we go. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, now we're cooking. Freon Ranger is cool. Resolves. Wall of Roots also resolves. Not bad. So let's lead on Gush. Interesting. So let's go Dreadnought into Vision Charm. Vision Charm, Dreadnought. We can play a second Curse Totem, or we can use this mana to potentially find counter spells. I think I want to do that, and since I'm doing that, I'm going to do it now, because I may find Portent. Stifle. Kind of interesting enough for me to want to keep, because like it can stop a fetch land, or it can do some stuff like that. We're still able to foil here if we want to. Naturalize the Curse Totem. I already have a second one, so I think I'm gonna let this go. I don't think I'm concerned. Oh, this can unlock my opponent's mana. The problem is, yeah, I think this is fine. Is it? So they have 2 cards left in hand. One of those cards could be a Tradewind Rider, but then I can just play a second totem before they get to untap, so that's perfectly fine. So I'd rather just save this foil to protect another Naturalize on the Dreadnought. Queen Ranger getting in there. Respect. Good attack. Let's see what my opponent's got. Untap Bird. 3 mana. 4 mana. Deranged Hermit. Okay, so I just stifle this. Yeah, this worked out great. So now we stifled the Deranged Hermit trigger. So now they paid 5 mana for a 1/1. We untap. Yeah, I don't think I have time to play Meddling Mage, so we're just going to redeploy the Curse Totem. Still have Gush, still have Foil. Now we have a 12/12 in play. We're swinging. This Deranged Hermit is dying to the upkeep cost. City of Brass. Putting down 1 card in hand. White mana. Hardcast Anger. Yeah, that one resolves. So that was the last card in my opponent's hand, so I think we're cooking here. I don't think my opponent was supposed to cast this Anger there. The only way that they can get back into this game is if they find access to Survival of the Fittest, and if they find Survival, then now they're not going to have any creatures in hand to actually get Survival going. So, I mean, I guess Survival doesn't even matter at this point. So, swing, opponent throws some walls into the trash, and we got it locked up. Meddling Mage, we're gonna name Naturalize, because Survivals doesn't matter, and ship the turn back, and they draw a Fiend Hunter. Alright, there we go. Round number 2. Here we have a Gush, but we're missing an island. We don't have a cantrip. We have Daze on turn 1. We have a Null on turn 1 as well. Am I crazy enough to keep this hand? I feel like we can do better. Like, this hand does some stuff, don't get me wrong, but the stuff that it does, they don't actually allow me to get ahead, so I think I'm just gonna ship it. This hand is notably better. So let's keep this. We're gonna bottom the foil and then go turn 1 island, pass the turn back. We get to play Meddling Mage on 2 once we know what my opponent's cooking with. Dark Ritual, Sarcomancy. Guess I could have countered that one with with an O. Okay, so that's a start. I think we're gonna go for an island here for plains, and I'm gonna play Meddling Mage. And Meddling Mage is going to name Snuff Out or Smother. Could also name Duress. Let's actually name Duress. If my opponent has a removal spell, they have to use it on the Meddling Mage anyway. If my opponent offers the trade, I kind of am interested in taking it though. It will slow down their clock pretty considerably. So I think I will take a trade if given the option. Obviously my opponent can just play a Bad Moon and then that's all sorts of trouble, but opponent seems to be on mono black aggro, if I had to guess. I think if this were game 2, I would definitely name Snuff Out, but this being game 1, I don't think it's super likely they have access to it game 1. Opponent goes for Gemstone Mine. Landstill? Okay. Things I was not expecting to see in this league. And yeah, as I just said, I'm going to take this trade here. Sabo's Web is kind of interesting here. So I think we're going to pass the turn a couple of turns until we can play a good Gush. But as is, my opponent's drawing cards and swinging for 3 at a turn. But I don't want them to be able to like hit land drops and stuff, so alternatively I can just crack this Standstill on my opponent's end step. So I'm going to probably crack it this turn. Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna opt now. Opponent gets their 3 cards. We bottom that Flooded Strand. We find our Vision Charm. Now they have to go to this card. Untap. We draw a foil. Not bad. We Gush. Replay an island. And I guess we're going to Portent. See what we find. Because if we find Counterspell. Another foil we cannot cast. Actually, I can cast it. Because this Sabo's Wave is going to cycle. No, because I'm going to use Vision Charm and Dreadnought here. So this foil is going to get cast with both of these. I guess drawing foil into island is not terrible. That's for next turn. Yeah, I guess that's fine. We're going to top these 3, no shuffle, play Sabo's Web. Here I am. This is a little bit risky, but I think it's worth it. Okay, so that worked. Now we ship the turn back. We draw off Portent. Opponent takes another damage. We're going to take swing down to 7. We have to be worried about getting killed. So if my opponent manages to put 4 power, then we're going to die. So this Duress is going to take one of these foils. I guess that's fine. They didn't have an answer for this Dreadnought this past turn in response to the Vision Charm. Well, okay. I guess if they have the answer, they have the answer. Could they have Swords to Plowshares? That would definitely be a beating. But there's nothing I can do about it anyway, so... Lightning Bolt face. Oh my god. Am I going to die in my upkeep? So let's opt, see what we can find. Another Dreadnought doesn't do anything. Stifle. I think I'm just gonna get raised here. That would be kind of sick, actually. That would be kind of awesome. If I die to a Lightning Bolt, I go down to 1. Hold. Hold. Oh, they had the Bolt. Awesome. Okay, so my opponent's like playing 5-color black aggro or something. So this Swords to Plowshares card seems like it's going to do some work. Let's cut the Sabos Web. I think I want to cut the Annul. Flash of Insight is moderately interesting to me. I think I'm going to cut the Meddling Mage. And I'm going to keep everything else. I don't think Armageddon is where I want to be. Also, Last Breath seems a little bit too close. On the play, yeah, I guess we're going to keep this. Today is not looking super sexy, but play a land, say go. Definitely looking for an island. City of Brass, pass the turn. I wonder if my opponent's playing Swords to Plowshares and stuff. Oh, man, I guess I have to keep this. It's so awkward. Oh my god, that's so awkward. Like, I really need a second land. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep this. I really need a second land. Like, if I whiff on a land, then that's a disaster. Okay, so this is fine. Let's play Meddling Mage, and I think I'm naming Lightning Bolt. My opponent could have Swords to Plowshares and stuff like that, but, I mean, my own Swords to Plowshares are pretty good here, so if I'm forcing my opponent to use a Swords to Plowshares to get rid of a Mage, that's a decent exchange for me. I don't think I'm slamming this Dreadnought this coming turn, though Duress is a concern. We have seen Duress. Sarcomancy is fine. Dromar's Cavern. Untap, another island. Well, actually, I guess I am doing this, because I don't think it's necessarily getting better for me. So I think I have to make sure that I'm taking advantage of this situation. And once again, I'm offering this trade. If my opponent wants to take it, that's fine, because that still deals damage to them. Oh, they take the damage. We definitely need to find some protection spells here. No one-mana answer is huge. Yikes. So that's going to take the days, most likely. And now opponent's going to have an answer. So here go some attacks. No blocks once again. Opponent goes down to 3. They're really valuing that zombie token. This City of Brass is going to clock them. Yeah, okay. They just didn't have it. We were finding Vision Charm of the Impulse, so I guess we were covered. Okay, that worked out. Now we're going to be on the draw, so I'm not as excited about this Meddling Mage. I could also cut a land. I still don't think that Last Breath is where I want to be, but Flash of Insight is a little bit interesting. Don't care about Armageddon. I think this is not what this game is going to be about, but Flash of Insight is interesting. I think I'm just going to go with this. Ooh, pretty good hand. Pretty good hand. I like a lot of what's going on here. Let's keep. Opponent also keeps 7, and they lead on the rest. Lots of good options here. Portent is an interesting one. Gush, also an interesting one. Vision Charm is what they go for. Find another Dreadnought, which is far from ideal. This ones we will shuffle, I think. Definitely looking for island number 2. Drawing a redundant Dreadnought. Not what I wanted to see. Wither the Wretch. You got it. Well, actually, now that I think about it, this means I can combo here if I want to. Yeah, so let's actually combo right now, and then we can just combo again next turn because we have another Dreadnought. It's not super efficient because we're getting 2 for 1, but I am forcing my opponent to have 2 answers in back-to-back turns, so I'm really limiting the amount of time that they have to find an answer. Okay, Duress. So if they have Duress into answer to Dreadnought, then, you know, c'est la vie, but which is exactly what they have. So I guess we take 2 damage, and we force them to have it right then and there, you know? That's not bad. So ship the turn back. We're going to take some damage from this with a Wretch for a couple of turns here. But now we're in a situation where if we find an enabler, we kind of just win. Carnophage. So this means that now we have 4 turns to find an enabler. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically take this risk so that I can use this counterspell to protect my Dreadnought. And I'm going to hope that I find an enabler off of these 2 cards, or at least a cantrip. I did not. So now we're in a lot of trouble. Now we are in a lot of trouble because this is a really fast clock. Take 4, down to 11. Negator. Yeah, counter that one. Allows me to use my mana. Very powerful threat. Okay, that actually trades. So, Meddling Mage. And I guess I'm going to name Snuff out. Send the turn back. We still have foil. So we're going to trade with Wither Wretch, if given the option. This does slow down their clock to half, which is kind of a big deal. and we're gonna foil that. So I think we're actually going to pitch the second foil because I don't think we're gonna be able to counter to use another foil here. So untap, Portent is not great. Okay, so that buys me a lot of time. So foil, swords, no shuffle. This does give me a lot of time. So let's... Actually, what I can do is I can just... No, yeah, I'm just gonna plow now. So this is bad. I was gonna say, like, now my opponent knows not to play a standstill, but I think this is fine. Now we're gonna pass the turn, and we're going to take 2, hold up counterspell. We know we're drawing foil, which sucks, but now we can counterspell this. Send the turn back. I guess we're just going to swords here regardless, so I guess I should have taken the free point of damage. And now we have to find an enabler. Okay, that's a daze. It's not the worst, because it means I can counter now. Okay, let's hold on to that one. Sarcomancy doing some work. Crosses his catacombs. So we know they have a swamp in hand. Play an island, say go. Punish for not playing the island last turn, but I think it was correct to hold there because it allows me to not have to cast the daze. Now we can play and hard cast this foil, which is nice. We get one more use out of this Darker Waste. Dark Ritual resolves. Negator. I think I just plow this. I don't understand using the Dark Ritual there. Like, I don't know what my opponent was trying to gain. So now we send back. Do like this impulse. Carnophage. I guess we do have to counter that. An uncastable Source of Plowshares. Let's impulse now. We may find Gush. Vision Charm. Okay. I think I'm gonna need more. I don't think that Vision Charm is going to be enough. Sure, my opponent can just find a threat and kill me now, but... Oh, Bolt. Yeah, that sucks. Okay, so I guess Vision Charming wouldn't have helped. That's rough. That's a cool deck. It actually looks like it probably has a pretty good Dreadnought matchup. 5-color black aggro. Super sweet. Time for round number 3. No lander. We're gonna ship it. That's a lot lander. Yeah, I'm not keeping this. Go to 5. Okay, this hand actually does something, so let's keep this. I think we're going to bottom Source of Plowshares and Impulse. And the goal here is going to be Portent into a land, combo on turn 2, and then hold up Counterspell on turn 3. So that's the dream. That's not a land, so we're going to shuffle. And still no land. Turn 1 Forest Bird. That's a land. So get an island. I mean, this is one of the strengths of this deck, right? This is why I like to aggressively mulligan if I can, because you can just find hands like this one. This deck can very easily win on a mulligan to 5. Windswept Heath is very scary though, because that represents Source of Plowshares, Naturalize, Disenchant. Windswept Heath is basically the scariest fetch land that any opponent can play. The fetch land that I want to see the least as a Dreadnought player. Already fetches, finds a plains. Let's see what he's got. Queer and Ranger. Okay, so that's a lot of mana. I think that what he's trying to do is he's trying to like develop his board, and he's probably gonna disenchant while playing around Daze. I think that that's his game plan here. Source of Plowshares. Obviously, if he has another Source of Plowshares, or if he has a disenchant, we just lose. Not much we can do about it. We mull to 5, and we are just YOLOing, like the kids say. If he has an answer to this, we will lose. Rofellos. Dude, I've actually been thinking about this card a lot. I've been reading... Oh my god, Core Haven? But we have the Stifle? Oh my god. That's insane. Dude, Rofellos is so sick. I love that card with a passion. Swing, Stifle. Yeah, that Stifle draw was obviously pretty strong. Everything just lined up perfectly for me to get there. You love to see it. Wow, Rofellos, dude. I actually found a copy very cheap of Rofellos at one of the LGSs that I usually go to. So I'm really stoked about that one. Also, by the way, I forgot to say this in the deck tech in the beginning, but Savos Web, pretty good against Core Haven. So, just saying. This is a very interesting matchup because I kind of want all of these cards. Man, I want so many cards. Because I also, Armageddon is kind of good against a deck like this. So I don't think I can afford to play all of these cards. So some of these will have to go. And I think some number of Dazes are going on the draw. I think I can probably cut a couple of foils and maybe one Counterspell, one Armageddon, and one Melee Mage. How does my curve look here? That's look pretty good, not gonna lie. I could potentially cut a land as well. So let's cut, I guess, an island because I'm on the draw. This gives me room for Last Breath. I guess it's kind of interesting. Disenchant as a way to answer survival. Maybe another Meddling Mage. Although I am on the draw, so Survival is going to come down before Meddling Mage, so I think I'm going to bring in the Singleton Disenchant. Let's go with this. Really excited to see what Artie is cooking with over there. What do we got here? This hand seems pretty fine, actually. We're going to be very interested in finding... That's pretty good, actually. So this means I can Portent now. Looking for... Yeah, these are nice. Top and top. No shuffle. Send the turn back. So even if he has Survival on 2, we already have the answer, which is very nice. We also get to shuffle the island away with that Flooded Strand. Plays the Heath and shuffles. We're not going to stifle that Windswept Heath anyway. So the awkward thing is I need to fetch for Plains now. But that's okay. So let's get a Plains, Disenchant right now, then the turn back. It's got another Survival, Library. Okay, that's pretty good. So that's going to be there for the rest of the game now. He also has Swords to Plowshare, so I'm going to have to find a way to play through that. So play an island, say go. This library is going to be pretty hard to beat. He correctly takes 8, just refreshes. Very strong. Wall of Roots. Okay, so let's Impulse on end step. Huh, these are kind of interesting. I think I'm taking Sabos Web here, because I think that we're going to be playing a little bit of a slower game. Gush number 3, not ideal. So let's play Web. It's going to be pretty good against Core Haven. Meddling Mage is nice. So now we get to play Meddling Mage. And I think we're going to aim Survival of the Fittest, because we have no answer. And we may find our own Swords to Plowshares. I did experiment with a green-white survival list, but I think I was trying to do too many things at the same time and I was doing none of those things properly, so that list was not particularly great. Hopefully Artie is cooking something better. We'd love to find Curse Totem. I really want to start to Flying Protection from Creatures. Well, that's a card that I had never seen before. That's cool. So we're gonna be gushing here. So let's start there. Yeah, that's very clean. So play Curse Totem. It's gonna get rid of the Wall of Roots problem. Do we... Nah, we're not gonna combo here. So we're just gonna pass the turn back. I mean, I'm going to need to get rid of these eventually, because it's going to kill me. But Swords to Plowshares is quite costly when my opponent has an active Sylvan Library. Am I killing this now? I think I can take 2. I think I can take 2 for the optionality of killing something more important. If he plays a Hermit though, what do? Do the Captain Sisei? That's a 4 mana 2/2. It's going to resolve. Yeah, I think I'm just going to Swords now, because I have Sisei covered thanks to the Curse Totem. The 4th copy of Gush. That's very annoying. So we're just going to send it back. I'm kind of really interested in finding that Armageddon that we have hanging out somewhere. Imagine Sisei is gonna feel frisky here. Yeah, it's a fine attack. We are a tiny bit Gush flooded. We may find a Portent, so I'm not going to Gush right now. I think we can find a better spot for Gush. Uktabi Orangutan. I guess I'm just gonna have to stifle that. It's a pretty big problem. But just a 2/2 is an issue here. A 2/2 is actually quite problematic for me. So let's Gush, see what we find. Portent, Vision Charm. Yeah, those are not good enough. Yeah, those I'll have to shuffle. Replay an island. Okay, so we're gonna take 4 this turn. Yeah, I need more protection. This is not enough. This is most certainly not enough. Oh, he did have the Swords to Plowshares. Makes sense. We do have our own. So I'm probably gonna plow the Sisei here. Oh, he paid some life there. Survival comes down. Okay, so the time to mess around is over. Kill Sisei. It's gonna be interesting to see whether he is doing something like Basking Root Wallas and stuff. Untap. Another island. Not what we wanted to see. Let's Gush. Okay, so it's not bad actually. Let's play a Dreadnought. We're going to Stifle. So that worked. Send the turn back. Survival, pitching Genesis. Squee. Squee gets pitched for Vigilante. Gonna pitch one of these islands. Vigilante actually works through Curse Totem, awkwardly enough. If he goes for the Vigilante, I'm gonna have to foil it. This combination right here, Survival plus Sylvan Library, is a heck of a combo. Oh, he paid life there. That's very bad news for me. I'll take this because otherwise he can just Genesis get it back. So that's a free answer to Dreadnought. Curse Totem doing so much work. So let's foil. If he has Swords to Plowshares, he has Swords to Plowshares. But this is like so much more mana intensive. So like he's not going to be able to Genesis and get it back, cast it, and like do everything. So now this is going to be effectively a time walk because I'm going to have to Vision Charm the Dreadnought. I gain 12 up to 20. That's a lot of time. But yeah, I don't think I can do this. I think I have to eat it up. If he also has Naturalize or Crumble, we lose. Yeah, he's got it. That was the risk. Yeah, I mean, library, right? Library is such a beating. I think I'm really into the Armageddon game plan actually. And I guess I'm also into the Annuls. Maybe over some number of Swords to Plowshares. Daze is a lot more interesting on the play. Actually, Meddling Mage is also very interesting on the play. So let's cut down on Swords to Plowshares. Let's go down to one, just no Swords to Plowshares. So if my opponent resolves anything problematic, I'm dead, but I think that's fine. This also gives me the freedom of naming Swords to Plowshares with my own Meddling Mage. Bring back the land. I guess I'm gonna go with Disenchant over Annul. We have the Armageddons, just a singleton Daze, and I still think I want Totem and Savos Web. Maybe Savos Web, the second copy, is redundant once I have two Armageddons. But Armageddon seems actually pretty good against Artie's deck. Yeah, we like this. Portent? Yeah, this is perfect, so I guess I don't want the second island. No shuffle. Send the turn back. Fetch. We do have the choice here to... I think I'm gonna go for turn 2 Dreadnought with Counterspell backup, because we get to Vision Charm. This also covers against Swords to Plowshares. If he has two answers, then we're gonna be in trouble, but if he only has the one answer, I'm in decent shape. And I'm forcing him to have both answers right now, right? Also, this means that he's not developing himself. Next turn I can just play, just Gush, and Counterspell and hold up Stifle. Swords to Plowshares. I think I'm actually gonna let this resolve, gain a bunch of life, and just hope to combo again. We have Gush, Survival, untap. Let's lead on Gush, see what we find. So Plains. Let's opt first. I guess Vision Charm is really interesting here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna top that actually. Play another island and Savos Web, Cantrip, another Counterspell. So now it's gonna be a race with this Survival. Glory? That's a heck of a card. You don't see that one every day. He gets Squee. He's pretty limited on mana though. He's pretty limited in terms of access to mana. So hoping to find Disenchant the Cursed Totem is pretty nice. But so I'm going to protect it. He gets Bird's mana for a turn. So that sucks, but that's Uktabi, which we can counterspell next turn. Play an island and say go. Genesis is going to kind of destroy me though. Genesis effectively means infinite Uktabi orangutans. Very mana intensive, so I guess I can just find Gush and Armageddon. So that's my game plan here. Gush plus Geddon. Squee for Genesis. Genesis for Wall. And Wall is fine. Let's Gush. No Geddon. Very sad. No Geddon nor Dreadnought. Both of them are pretty sad things that just happened. Impulse would have also been a fine pickup. But he draws the orangutan again. Place another bird, send the turn back, still nothing, just hitting land drops. Not looking great here. Yep, gotta counter that one. Armageddon, Meddling Mage. So I think we just name Swords to Plowshares. He doesn't have Naturalizes, because otherwise he would have cast them, right? There's an argument for also naming Sealbond Library. Miri Cat Warrior, hell yeah. Dude, Artie's deck is so hot. We are getting pretty owned. Oh, Squee didn't come back. That has to be a mistake. First Strike Vigilance. Ooh, nice. Oh, I should have actually just hardcast that. Not bad. Not a terrible pickup. I mean, he still has Genesis Uktabi going on over there, so Survival kind of already did its job. We really need Armageddon kind of right now, because otherwise we're just gonna start wasting Stifles on Uktabi triggers over and over again. Portent. There we go. So... sucks that we're drawing this Meddling Mage, but it is what it is. So top, 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 no shuffle. I really wish I had a shuffle effect. There's the Geddon. Take two. Uktabi resolves. We're going to Stifle, untap, Geddon, land, go. So we know we're drawing a Meddling Mage, so we're going to be taking 4 this turn. I wonder if he was playing around it. Probably. Artie is pretty good. Play another island, say go. Would love to find some cantrips here. Take 4 again. Okay. Portent. That's a white source. I don't think this is good enough though. Like, I really need to find the Dreadnought. This is 3 turns of not drawing anything. I don't think I can afford to do that. I need to find something quicker. Okay, we still found the white source. So I guess now I can trade with Uktabi to slow down the clock. Untap. Now we're gonna name Swords to Plowshares with this one. Send the turn back. Really gotta find a Dreadnought kind of quickly. Savos Web doing some pretty good job here. Ah, that's bad. Target legendary creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. That's super hot. Well, that's a big issue. That's a big problem. Do I even have enough time now? Vision Charm. Woof. Dude, this is really bad for me. Sword of the Chosen. Dude, Premodern is awesome, man. Like, come on. Come on. How incredible is Premodern? That Sword of the Chosen is winning this game right here. Dreadnought. Ugh. Gonna hold on to that one in case I need to foil. But at this point, he has too many blockers, and Miri is clocking me too quickly, so I think that, like, I'm gonna need to chump block next turn. We're not in good shape here. I can stifle this, but that is the same to do it now than to do it next turn. I'm kind of really excited that I'm losing to Miri, powered by Sword of the Chosen. Goes to discard, discarding Squee. Ugh. Yeah, I think that's the end. I think that's game, because I don't have enough time to race back now. Even if I do manage to resolve the Dreadnought, I just need to sit back on defense because I'm dying to this Miri until I find another chump blocker. Plus, he still has the Core Haven chilling there. Also, this unlocks now the Swords to Plowshares, so there's also that. All sorts of bad news everywhere. Yeah, Sylvos? Hell yeah. Dude, Artist deck is insane. I'm surprised we have not seen a Cradle yet. He has to have some hanging around. So this is effectively a chump blocker. I could go to 1 by stifling the Miri trigger. The Sword of the Chosen trigger, sorry. I'm not sure how that helps me though. So there goes the chump. Dreadnought, yep. Magetta the Lion. That's sick. Okay, so now what? I think we Dreadnought Stifle. I'm trying to think if I play this out, but I don't think I do. Actually, never mind. I have to hardcast this foil because I can't pitch cast it. I needed to find... He definitely has answers, enough. A second answer in hand here though. So I'm not super optimistic about this Dreadnought being able to stabilize this board. Maybe he'll chump attack for some reason. Damn it, he didn't. Alright, GG Sardi. This was cool. This was very exciting. Time for run number 4. This hand looks pretty good. We're on the play. We can look for the combo piece that we're missing. We also have Flooded Strand to shuffle if we need to. We already have a Gush. Pretty strong opener. Opponent on a mulligan to 5. This is pretty perfect, I'd say. So let's put the counter spell on top so that I play around duress. Obviously it's worse if my opponent has the sick call and they Cabal Therapy naming counterspell, but they did nothing. Okay, well I'm gonna go for it now, shuffling away the Swords to Plowshares. So this means I'm gonna be able to counterspell to protect this Dreadnought with counterspell, which is very nice. We also have Gush. If I were my opponent, and if they don't have an answer to Dreadnought, if they can't actually win this game, I would consider just conceding at this point. There's no reason to show me information. I already showed them Flooded Strand, so I'm not showing them anything else by exposing the Darker Ways here. They already know that I'm on blue-white. Yeah, okay, they conceded before showing me any cards. No idea how to approach this. We can just submit the same 60, which I am a little bit tempting to do. I'm a little bit tempted to do. What could... I mean, I'm assuming my opponent some sort of combo deck, right? Because that's the reason why they would mulligan to 5. I mean, it makes it more likely that they would mulligan to 5. Still think... I mean, I don't love Sabos Web, like this is the one card, but it cantrip, so I think I'm just gonna submit the same 60 cards. I could try to like level my opponent and, you know, try to guess what they're actually playing. It could kind of quite literally be anything, so... This hand is a little bit slow, but I think I'll keep it. This time opponent kept 7. Basic Swamp, duress. Opponent takes my counterspell, it's perfectly fine, not a bad draw. I guess I should have played the Flooded Strand first. Oh, really? Well, now they have to take the Sabos Web. They take Dreadnought, so I just get to lock down the Mishra's Factory for free. Sounds great. So I guess this is Pit Rack, I would guess. I guess not, because Pit Rack plays Innocent Blood, and Mesmeric Fiend is not great with Innocent Blood. So I'm going to assume that it's something else. Okay, so I'm gonna get another island with this, so I'm just going to play Meddling Mage here. And I guess I'm going to name either Smother or Diabolic Edict. I think Smother. So now Zombie Token's gonna get in there a bunch. Take it. This Meddling Mage is both protecting me from Smother and Diabolic Edict by just being here. So it's also stopping the Mesmeric Fiend attacks. Hypnotic Spectre. Okay, that one's kind of a problem. I need to find an answer to that one. Portent. Those are not good enough. So we will shuffle. And then I'll play my land and say go. So I think I'm going to Gush in response to the Hypnotic Spectre attack. Carnophage. Okay, so my opponent's playing some sort of mono-black aggro. Gush, opt, so no blocks, take 4, doesn't matter. what this discards, because I already protected the Dreadnought. Stifle. Now opponent can't attack. Take damage from Carnophage. Gush is a hell of a card. Ooh, Factory is feeling frisky. So we take 6. This is answered already by the Savos Web. We take 6 down to 5. Block the zombie. Then opponent only has 2 attackers. Meddling Mage covers the Mesmeric Fiend. And we have counterspell, so we just go to 1 and we are good to go. Savos Web being incredible. Meddling Mage covering all my bases. Vendetta. Yeah, we just counterspell this. I mean, obviously we just lose otherwise, so yeah, we do that. This is nice because it allowed, like, it didn't give my opponent the chance of using Hypnotic Spectre to discard it, so that's pretty nice. I mean, I think it's correct for my opponent to go for it, but so we block the 1/1. We should be good here. Vision Charm gets discarded. Dreadnought comes to hand. We're gonna swing for a bunch of damage, and this should be game. Alright, got there. Mono Black Aggro was bested by the Shrimp. See you next round. Round number 5. On the play again, very lucky. This hand looks great. Yeah, we have so much optionality with this hand. So we're just looking for 12-12 here. We have Foil, we have Gush, Enabler ×2. We have the second island. We even have the possibility of shuffling if we care about doing that. And of course the turn 1 portent. The Dream. Huh, this is good enough to keep. I kind of like it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep this. So let's go Gush, Counterspell, Portent, no shuffle. I kind of want to Portent on turn 2. That's the only awkward thing. I'm a little bit scared of being Gush flooded. So opponent turn 1 a Darker Waste. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna Portent myself here. If they have Standstill, that punishes me a little bit, but that's fine. Okay, so now I'm gonna go, I think I'm gonna shuffle these. I'm kind of looking for lands here. Untap, find an island, perfect. Basic Plains. I'm assuming we're playing against some sort of control deck. So hitting land drops is good. Now I kind of wish I had access to those Meddling Mages. When Impulse is on end step. So I think we are buckling up for a Landstill matchup here. Pretty painful mana over there. That's okay. Meddling Mage would probably be my best draw. Ask and you shall receive, I guess. I name Source of Plowshares here. Mana Leak. Counterspell the Mana Leak. Name Swords of Plowshares. So now we're looking for a Dreadnought. Standstill. That's okay. Savos Web would be great. So we get 1 attack here, and then that's it. Opponent's also not hitting land drops, which is obviously pretty good for me. We are though, so that's cool. They did play a Plains now, so we're going to be playing with this Standstill here for a little bit. Island is good. No land drop is cool. So now on my opponent's end step, I'm going to hard cast this Gush. So we're gonna crack the Landstill. Opponent's gonna go up to 11 cards, and they're gonna have to discard a bunch. If they counter this, don't really care. Absorb. Or just stabbing out. Okay, fine. So Savos Web is probably my best draw. I guess Dreadnought would also be pretty good here because we have a bunch of stuff covered here. Redundant Days, not super great. So we're just gonna pass the turn back, unfortunately. That would have been a great turn to play a Dreadnought. Wrath of God, Counterspell. I guess it's technically foil. We get a nice little attack here. I know, don't love it. Man, all of that stuff on my opponent hasn't found a land. They drew a bunch of cards, still going to discard. Oh man, Impulse. Yeah, you definitely have to Impulse there. Looking for a land. Another Factory. Savos Web. Dreadnought. Yeah, okay, this is fine. Stifle. Send the turn back. Opponent is kind of under a lot of pressure here. 3 to cycle Decree. I could Stifle the draw, but I don't think I want to do that because that puts me in a situation where my opponent may be able to resolve Humility into Mana Leak, and they can Mana Leak my Annul. Although I guess I can Daze back, so kind of fine. Maybe I should have countered the cycle there. Stifle also counters Seal of Cleansing, which is something my opponent could have. 4 mana to Wrath. Target artifact faces out. Oh, they're fighting over this? Wow, this is so good for me. Well, now I just win. Yeah, this is just lethal. Daze the counterspell. And now I just Daze the Wrath. Counterspell on Vision Charm resolves. This is even better. Now we have foil too. Love to see it. Getting there game 1 is kind of a big deal in this matchup, because our sideboard game plan is quite strong. Also, we have the random Savos Web, which are great. String in Last Breath, cut Source to Plowshares. I do like Annul. Probably gonna have 1 single disenchant for Humility. And we can cut 1 foil. Can cut 1 island. This is always tricky, right? Like, do I want to cut... I mean, in the past, I used to cut Adarkar Waste as the land whenever I went down to 18 lands. The problem now is that I actively need my Adarkar Waste because I'm, you know, trying to cast Armageddon. So it's kind of a big deal for me to have access to white sources. So it makes things a lot trickier. So let's cut a Dreadnought, cut a Stifle, and I think we just keep the lands actually. Flash of Insight is great, cantrips are great. It's got a second Stifle, I guess, and having access to Sabos Web is kind of fantastic. It's got a Daze. Daze is pretty good when your game plan is to resolve Armageddon though. This is a very interesting hand. I think I'm going to keep it. Obviously we really need to find a land, but maybe this has one Stifle too many. Maybe I should have shipped this hand. Okay, land, go. I really like that this covers Standstill on turn 2, which is one of the scariest plays by my opponent here. Seal of Cleansing. Yeah, let's annul now. This uses my mana. I have the answer to that in Stifle. Being able to use my mana there is kind of a big deal. Best case scenario here is my opponent attacks with this factory. That would have been a fantastic turn to top deck Sabos Web. Morph? That's an Exalted Angel? Yeah, let's counterspell this. The fact that Last Breath can actually cover Mishra's Factory feels like it's a big deal. I also have a second counterspell. Missing a land drop there sucks. That's a Dreadnought. I need some more though. This is not enough to go for it. I may have to go for it next turn. Impulse is fine. I really don't want to go to discard. Best case scenario is my opponent attacks with Mishra's Factory and I get to Last Breath it. That would be fantastic. Going to discard is a disaster though. Yes. Yeah. So if my opponent just melee mages me here, like that's obviously very bad for me, but I don't think I get to play around that. Okay, so they mana leaked. That's fine. Now I untap. Island is kind of nice. So untap Dreadnought. So play Dreadnought, I'm gonna Stifle here. Because if my opponent wants to Wrath, I can just Vision Charm to protect it. 2 mana, Disenchant, Vision Charm. If they have Counterspell here, that's pretty bad for me, but mana leak. So we play on, putting down to 1 card. We have Gush to draw towards. We have stuff that we can find here. An opponent is down to a single card. Humility. Hard cast a foil on that one. And now, if we draw a Dreadnought, we are very likely to win. We still have Gush, still have Armageddon. Because of Geddon, I'm not gonna play out that land. Factory is getting in there. Opponent ships the turn back. Vision Charm. Not great. At least no Factor Fiction. Man, Sabos Web would be so sick. I have some very good draws here. I have some kind of incredibly good draws. It's not quite one of them. But it's not nothing though. It's definitely not nothing. This factory is slowly killing me though. It's a slow burn, but consistent one. Slow and steady wins the race, I guess. Yeah, not great. My opponent has a lot of tap out things over there, and they're not playing around Armageddon. Meddling Mage. Okay, gonna name Swords to Plowshares. Opponent fights over it. We're gonna fight back. Name Swords to Plowshares. Opponent fetches on my end step. If this is a Factor Fiction, we're gonna be in a lot of trouble here. No Factor Fiction. 4 mana, Wrath. Can we find Armageddon? Gosh. Start there. Ugh. Okay, those are not great. Those are not great. And now we cannot cast. Okay, so now we actually are gonna have to Vision Charm the Mishra's Factory, which is actually going to protect it from Armageddon. Yeah, this is a disaster. So now we just have to find Sabos Web, I guess. So face out an artifact. This is so bad. That's kind of brutal. That's pretty rough. But anyway, that's how it goes sometimes. So now we're going to be on the play. Opponent's on Exalted Angel. It's pretty wild. I think this is fine. Maybe Daze is a little bit better on the draw. Do love me some impulses. Yeah, let's cut another foil. It's really awkward because foil is kind of important to make sure our Armageddon resolves, but at the same time, you can't really go around foiling everything. Like, you can probably cast 1, maybe 2 foils in the entire game. If you cast 3 of them, then you're kind of screwed. Yes, keep this. Pretty nice start. Pretty clean start, too. Let's opt on end step. Yep, want to keep that one. Opponent plays around Stifle, I guess. Not that it matters too much. Here's a Meddling Mage. We're gonna name Swords to Plowshare. Looking for Gush now. Looking for foil. Standstill. Just slamming it, huh? Looking for 2. Untap. Play another island. Pass the turn. No land. Don't mind if I do. Okay, I'm playing that extra land because I can do other stuff with that, I think. One is going to discard, huh? I'm trying to set up Gush plus Geddon. That's nice too. Cycle Decree, looking for lands. I think, am I locked on gushing? On finding a Gush in order to cast this Armageddon? Because if that's the case, I do want to play the land so that I can counterspell. So I think we're gonna go for this. Right, opponent has started to find some land drops. So I think we impulse now to crack the standstill. Yep, perfect. So opponent goes to discard here. Cards a Darker Waste, Mana Leak, and Counterspell. Let's Gush. Floating blue. Then we will cast Armageddon. We're kind of in the market for a white source. 2 mana, 2 Mana Leak. We will counterspell that Mana Leak. Lands go bye-bye. We play our land for turn. Now we're holding up days. Now we're doing some stuff. Not a white source. You may believe that's a white source, but it's not. Untap. Portent. Okay. Portent myself. Yes. Top. No shuffle. Swing for 2. Untap. Draw the web. We have Impulse on top of the deck, which we are going to draw. Play a land. Play a fetch land. Play Savos Web. I really wish I had the Stifle here, but I don't. What we do have is the days though. Annul. That sucks. It's a good annul. Really good annul, right? That one. No land. Big game. It's Impulse here, looking for another Gush. Flash of Insight. Okay. Guess I'll take a foil. I could go for a Darker Waste. Yeah, actually, let's do the Waste. We're not guaranteed to find a white source. And we do have this Armageddon. Super punished. So insanely punished. Oh my god. Okay. So swing. Opponent may attempt to lock. Gonna let that go. See if my opponent wants to pump. They pump. In response, I disenchant. So there goes that. Send the turn back. Man, I wish I had that foil now. Really wish I had that foil. Meddling Mage is such a beater. You love to see it. Last Breath. So that covers me from Exalted Angel, which is nice. So we daze, then we Geddon. Armageddon is really, really good in this deck. I feel like this card just changed this matchup in such dramatic fashion. Another Meddling Mage, I guess that's good enough. Top, no shuffle. Swing for 2. We have the Last Breath to cover a potential misrefactory, so this one's in the bank. Play Waste, swing for 2. I think my opponent went through 2 Wraths at this point. No, just the 1. So I guess we're gonna name Wrath of God. And we're cooking. Opponent's at 2, we have 2 lethal threats. And there you go. Yep. Game 2, we were not able to find the Armageddon, and game 3, we did ×2. Also, a shout out to Savos Web for getting annulled. Alright, last match of this league. Well, this hand I'm going to keep, but a little bit close. Like, we have a Portent, but we need to find an island. If we do find an island, ideally 2, then we're gonna be in extremely good shape. When it moves to 6. Alright, Portent, do your thing. Do your thing. Yeah, those are not what we're looking for. In the order and shuffle. Okay. We'll get more looks. Mox Diamond. Being City of Brass. Oh no. Don't let this be a Meddling Mage. This looks like Gro-a-Tog, and this is definitely a Meddling Mage. Swords to Plowshares. Well, yeah. So this is not getting any better for me, so I'm just gonna go now. And I guess I'm going to stifle this. If my opponent has days, we can daze back. They can't have Swords to Plowshares, so that's nice. And it's just a matter of, do they have, I mean, they can use Fire and Ice or something, but we do have a fast clock here. This matchup is overall pretty bad for us. Definitely got lucky to find the land there. Got rewarded by my opponent not wanting to risk naming Dreadnought there. I guess I let that through. Because it's locking my opponent from... I mean, if they do have... So I don't think they have Swords to Plowshares in hand, to be fair. And the reason why I don't think that's the case is because it's so much better for them to, like, sit back and wait, right? Blue, ice. I think I daze this. Yeah, I'm gonna daze here. Like, I'm not guaranteed to get value from this daze later on. So by cashing that in... The question now is whether do I want a Portent or not. Yeah, I think I do. Maybe I should have Portented my opponent there. No, good thing I Portented myself. Okay, so we have 1 layer of protection. So if my opponent has like Counterspell into something else, like answer into Counterspell, I guess that's gonna be a problem. But yeah, I don't think they have Swords to Bludgeon in hand, because otherwise they should have left the Meddling Mace to block and then just like chump block. If they do, then that was a very bad mistake of them to like swing with the Meddling Mage as opposed to just hold back and block. Yeah, my opponent is saying that they misread the situation and they thought they were against Landstill. Portent is a little bit of a tell though, so definitely got lucky there. So let's bring in Last Breath, Flash of Insight, cut Sabos Web. I do like this enchant. Cut ArgenNought. Let's do 3 Swords to Plowshares. I think I like this. Cut a Darker Waste. Like, I'm not trying to cast my white spells on curve, so that's fine. I think we can cut a white source. The islands matter more, and then some foils. And yeah, on the play, I think I'm gonna bring the land back. This looks fine. A little bit unlucky that we don't have access to something like... the Gro-a-Tog is specifically the matchup where I would want Brain Freeze. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the Brain Freeze game plan, but Gro-a-Tog is the one matchup where I think it is actually a big deal. So what I'm looking for here is... I don't think I'm looking for a Dreadnought just yet. I'm more so looking for white source plus Swords to Plowshares, I guess. Gushes. That's the kind of stuff that I'm looking for. Opponent did not shuffle, so they like what they saw. Portent myself. These are actually pretty nice. So let's go Stifle, Impulse, Foil, no shuffle. And I'm gonna draw the Impulse, and then probably I'm gonna opt the second Stifle down. Double City. If this is a Fire Eyes, I'm kind of really into this. Yeah, you got me. That's great. That mana was gonna go unused anyway. Now we get to play around the ace, which is pretty nice. I think we foil this, pitch the island, and I guess I'm gonna pitch Stifle. I don't love doing that, but I think like this Quirion Dryad is going to get me dead really quickly. I'm not particularly close of assembling what I want to put together. Foil back. Well, bottom Stifle. Well, at least my opponent they used a lot of resources before the Quirion Dryad, right? And now we get to potentially find a white source. Not what we're looking for, but it's okay. So we're looking for a white source now, and then a plow can clear this up down to 2 cards for opponent. So if we find a white source, I think I'm going to I guess I'm going to pass the turn then. I'm going to counter a cantrip here. If my opponent impulses, I'm going to counter it. Also countering Gush here. My own Gush is probably the best draw, so I'll take that. Okay, well, I don't think I can pass up on these. It is slow, but I can at least combo now. Second Dryad. Okay, so I'm gonna counter this. Allows me to use my mana. My opponent attacked first, which I don't like. So now if they use their own counter spell, I get to Dreadnought plus Gush, which is nice. We're gonna be taking a healthy hit, but an attack for 12 should put me in pretty decent shape. Also, I'm a champion and I found the Swords to Plowshares. So Dreadnought, Vision Charm, cancel. And now the question is, do I Meddling Mage or do I Portent? Because dropping a Mage here is kind of nice, actually. I think I'm going to Portent. Let's actually plow the Dryad now. And now Portent. Some lands, shuffle that away, and send the turn back. It's likely my opponent's going to have stuff like Disenchant. Maybe that's what I should have named. Sleight of Hand. We would have taken a healthy amount of damage if I had named Disenchant with Dreadnought, with Meddling Mage. If they do have an answer to the Dreadnought, we're not looking super great though, which looks like they do. Looks like they have the Disenchant. Oh, Swords to Plowshares. Well, that buys me a nice amount of time at least, and we found that. So we're gonna go Meddling Mage, name Swords to Plowshares. Then next turn we can go Meddling Mage into Dreadnought. It's bad if my opponent finds their own Meddling Mage though. They found Gush, which is worse. No, Meddling Mage is big. No Mage is very big. I don't think there's any reason to play the Flooded Strand over the island. Let's start with an attack. My opponent has one Psychotog that's gone. I think I'm gonna play Meddling Mage, and I'm gonna slam this Dreadnought because I don't think it's getting better for me. That's the problem with this situation, is that I think that the longer this game goes, things don't get better. So in response to Mage, they fire the other one. So I think I named Disenchant, and we're gonna go for a Dreadnought. They could have Swords to Plowshares and that would suck, but it is what it is. Also, Psychotog is kind of a problem here. Opt, another Gush. Now we are in just dodge. We just have to hope that even with all this cantripping, my opponent does not find the Swords to Plowshares, which seems quite unlikely. They found it. Yep. So now I think we're dead. Obviously, they have infinite looks, right? This is why this matchup is so bad, by the way, right? Okay. Wow, so no shuffle, play land. There's no way we can actually win this game, right? So I'm going to draw Counterspell, and then we have Swords to Plowshares to get rid of the Dryad. Meddling Mage, counter that, take 10, and I think that I'm going to do this main phase, actually. So that my opponent can't cantrip in response. They could have counterspell, but hey, that worked. Shuffle the island and send the turn back. This is what we got. We have nothing else. Okay, is there any reason to hold on to these darker ways? To pitch foil, but I'm in hardcast foil range at this point, so I'd rather play out the land in case I draw Gush. Opponent's got no cantrips and no threat as of right now, but they found one. So get in there, Mage. And now it's Gush. Alright, so we're kind of countering anything. That was not a great Gush. That one can result. Psycho-Dog. That one definitely gets countered. Putting down one card in hand. Can we draw more Gushes? Vision Charm. Play land. Say go. Ugh, found the cantrip. Yeah, we're not looking great now. I mean, we could just find the Dreadnought off the top. Opponent indeed choose not to shuffle, which is bad news for the good guys. So, cantrip into Dreadnought. Ideally Gush, I guess. Last breath. Ugh, that sucks. Shuffling. I imagine they have another cantrip here. No cantrip. But they kept, though. What could they have kept? Yeah, okay. So now we're just too far behind. There's nothing I can really draw that... Well, maybe that would have been enough. I don't know. Okay, let's go to game number 3. Do we just need more Swords to Plowshares here? I think maybe we do. Cut a days. Yep. Keep this one. Land go. Island. Main face up. So we're going to go for Meddling Mage on Swords to Plowshares. Actually, do we just go for it? So the upside of going for it is that we have days foil, so we're really limiting the amount of time my opponent has. Yeah, I think I'm just going to YOLO here. I think this is better, because it really limits the amount of time that my opponent has to find an answer. So we're just gonna days foil. I guess pitching Gush. If they have their own days, we lose, or I guess their own foil. Both of those will put us in probably just losing position. Okay, so they have their own foil. Yeah, maybe I should have taken it slow. It's close. I don't know. I pitched a Gush to do that, so that was extremely costly for me. But yeah, as I was saying, this is why this is a bad matchup, right? Like my opponent they work from such a more commanding spot, and they need less pieces to function, right? Because my opponent just plays a Quirion Dryad and then they're just cantripping after that. But instead, I need to assemble the 2-card combo. So they have their disruptive pieces and their clocks are a lot easier to assemble than mine. And after that, they are just cantripping so they can find their stuff quicker and more reliably. I'm still in this game though. Like I can just find a Gush and then all of a sudden we're right back on it. Counterspell would also be nice. But since this is a bad matchup for all of the reasons stated, that's why I think that it's even more of a... Like, I need to take more risk. And I thought that, what needed to happen was narrow enough that it wasn't super likely that they had the days and the Swords to Plowshares exactly on that specific turn. Because if we're doing this, and I already have the Meddling Mage in hand, right? Like, and if my opponent is at 4 right now as opposed to being at 16, like, I'm in such better shape. But obviously, they're really high life total, they are ahead on board. They have 6 cards to my 0, so obviously it did not work out for me. But this is also a problem, right? My opponent has cantrips and just threats that stand on their own, and I have these stupid cards that literally don't do anything in this context. I'm non-sarcastically thinking about Vision Charming myself because of the off chance that I may find Flash of Insight, honestly. These draws have been horrendous. My opponent has been drawing Gushes and I'm drawing Islands. Obviously they are cantripping into them, but yeah, there's an opt. Can't even cast that one. We also have my own Meddling Mage locking out my answers to my opponent's stuff. We don't have counter magic. Yeah, having to pitch that Gush was really huge. I don't know, maybe I did get too hasty. If I had played the Meddling Mage instead on turn 2, then I guess my opponent would have been able to drop their own Meddling Mage, so we were still kind of in trouble. But I would have been able to daze that Meddling Mage, so it would have been actually better. So yeah, so maybe I was supposed to go for Meddling Mage first and just lock the Swords to Plowshares out that way, and then on the following turn attempt to go for a Dreadnought. Obviously, we do get punished by going for that line, and then if my opponent has Mox Diamond, then we just get owned. It's probably... I mean, it's really hard to tell. Obviously, at this point, it has... this is entirely out of control, right? Like, my opponent should also name Dreadnought with this one, I think. They named Last Breath. So now I just don't attack and we just chill. Oh, they have Korean Red. Okay, never mind. We're not getting there. Okay, yeah, that was rough. Unlike the Landstill matchup, which gets turned around by Armageddon, we don't really have a way to juke this matchup. Like, this is just a bad matchup, and I don't think there's anything that we can realistically do about it. There's the Brain Freeze angle, so we could technically go for that, but I don't even think that it's reliable enough. Well, got a pretty disappointing 3-3 with the deck. Obviously, it's still very strong. I think I made a couple of questionable plays, especially in that very last match. I think that it was definitely worth analyzing a little bit further, whether I should go for it on turn 2 or whether I should just like play a little bit slower with Meddling Mage and try to hope that my opponent did not have their own Meddling Mage and that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I think it's very close, and it could have really gone either way. It's one of those things that is going to, leave me thinking about it. But as you can see, like, this deck has a reputation of just like, oh yeah, this is like so easy to play, and like it's so like straightforward. You just play Dreadnought, and it's like, no. If you're playing the deck like that, this deck is so challenging to play. Like I've been playing this deck for almost a year at this point, like since I joined the format, that I've been tinkering with this deck, I've been exploring it, and I still find myself in situations where I'm like, I think that I can do this, but this may be better, and like so many options and so many ways to navigate the game and so many gears, right? Like this deck has multiple gears. You have the gear 1, which is like you combo out quickly, gear 2, where you try to play a little bit of a control game and then you like attempt to go for an inevitability, and then gear 3 when you are just like going just finding your spot and just making sure that all of your spells resolve. And that's exactly like pivoting and knowing when to assess which gear you're on. Like, for example, in that last game, I think I thought that we wanted to go for gear 1 to end the game quickly, when realistically it would have been possible that just gear 2 was the way to go. Obviously, it's a matter of percentages, and there's like, there's a lot of discussion to be had there if you wanted to, but to say that this deck is easy to play is just stupid. Just straight up, people who say that this deck is easy to play just don't know how to play it. It's as simple as that. So super interesting deck, super fun. I actually really enjoy the play patterns the deck has. And this league was actually great, right? Like the decks that we faced were super interesting, and we kind of didn't really have any free games or any free matches. Like we had to fight for every win, and the matches that we lost against were kind of awesome. Like that mono black 5-color deck looked great, and then Artie's deck looked super spicy with like Sisei and Miri and stuff like that, and like I can't believe that I lost to like, it's so awesome that I lost to like Sword of the Chosen, or like however you call that the OG equipment. Super great. Like, this format just continues to be a blast. I think this list is pretty strong. I think it covers the metagame really well. Sabo's Web actually showed up and it was multiple times, and it was very good. It was great against the mono black deck, locking down those Mishra's factories. It was fantastic against Standstill, forcing my opponent to make to use spells where they wouldn't want to, right? This is basically like a counter-worthy spell right here that my opponent needs to respect. Great stuff. I think that if I want to continue playing this deck, which I do, and I definitely will, then I think that this is the list that I would start with. Maybe tinker with these numbers over here. I could see like cutting an annul for something else, maybe like another opt. But the main deck Sabo's Web actually felt quite nice. That's going to be it for me today, folks. We are going to hopefully play some more of these decks soon enough. But this video is done. We played our matches, and yeah, we're not going to be qualifying for the next, unfortunately, for the next showdown. but it's okay because we have some more league coming up in a couple of weeks, so just gonna have to cross my fingers and wait patiently until the time comes. But that's it for me today. This weekend I'm hoping that I'll be able to play in the challenge. Hopefully I can make things worse. That would be really exciting, so stay tuned for that. But if you enjoy the content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on the way out, and I'll see you in the next one, folks. Take care. Thank you all my opponents for the matches, and I'll see you next time.